My name is Rodney Ridley. I am the Vice President for Research and Innovation and Economic Development at Alvernia University. I'm also, as many of you, friends with Mr. Webster for many, many years, and Don and I started this innovation conference many years ago. I don't even know what year it was we started this. Kendall Krepke was a part of that. Many of you were a part of that. It's good to see so many friends and familiar faces, some new faces in the audience today. Thanks for coming out. We hope to have a very good conference today. The TechBridge Innovation Conference was started as a way of us to celebrate what happens in this region. Many years ago, we were having conversations about we do so many great things in the region, but nobody really talks about it, nobody really knows. So let's build a showcase and a platform for people to celebrate and say and show what's happening in the region, which was a broad topic to say. You're just going to talk about innovation overall. So we decided that each year we'd have the conference, we'd pick different topics. Now we've talked about many things: 3D printing, biotechnology, education. I forget all 5 of the conferences. This year we're going to be talking about innovation and leadership. So welcome to all of you, and we'll be talking about various kinds of innovation and leadership. Just a few housekeeping items. As you know, there's 2 concurrent sessions that we'll be running. One that is a industry track, one is that is a academic track. So pick your tracks and enjoy yourselves in those particular sessions. There will be sessions like this morning where there's a sort of a plenary session. This morning, we'll talk about that in a second, where everybody will be in here. So enjoy yourself. We will be asking you questions and things like that at the end. Don will come in back at the end. He always has questions for everybody to make sure that you guys had a good time and learned something from today's events. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panel this morning and our moderator. And have a long bio here from Mr. Kendall Krepke. He asked me not to do this, but I'm going to embarrass him. I'm going to do it anyway. So Ken and I have known each other for a long, long time. And so Ken serves as the regional manager for Ben Franklin Technology Partner, where he oversees investments in portfolio companies of more than 40 companies. In the last 4 years, his clients have leveraged Ben Franklin funding to raise more than $74 million. Ken started his career at the University of Scranton, ultimately serving as Assistant Dean of Admissions, followed by Junior Achievement of Northeast PA, where he held the position of president. Ken then transitioned to the founding member of the internet startup company collegerecruiting.com, where he led the sales and strategic initiatives. Prior to Ben Franklin in 2004, he joined the Great Valley Technology Alliance, now TechBridge, as vice president. He is credited with creating the Lackawanna and Luzerne County Keystone Innovation Zones program that generates more than $2 million each year for technology companies, and now totaling $30 million since the inception of the program. Ken is a member of numerous community organizations, and if you know Ken, then you know that he is an avid hunter, fly fisherman, and golfer. Ken lives with his wife, Dr. Kimberly Pavlik, in Scott Township, and they have 2 daughters. Please welcome Ken to moderate this morning's opening keynote.
Well, thank you very much, Rodney, for those kind words. Again, I'm Kendall Krepke. I'm the regional manager for Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeastern Pennsylvania. You're going to hear in a few moments a little bit more about our organization from our CEO, Angelo Valletta, and it is truly an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity for our organization to kick off the 5th annual Innovation Conference, where we talk about leadership. Just a highlight of our organization before Angelo gives you a little more detail. You know, Ben Franklin Technology Partners really can do 3 things for the companies here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. Number 1, we invest in early stage technology companies. We can invest up to $900,000 in a technology company who wants to scale and create jobs here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. Number 2, we connect manufacturing firms to colleges and universities to solve process improvement or product development projects, and we can provide them with a grant up to $50,000 that's matched one-to-one. And number three, we support the entrepreneurial ecosystem, specifically organizations like TechBridge. There are 7 business incubators in the 6 counties that I represent, and there happen to be 14 in the 21 counties that Ben Franklin supports. That happens to be one of the largest incubator networks in the country, and we're proud to support the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and we look forward to that conversation here today. The format of our kind of kickoff session here, we'll have a few words from Angelo, our CEO, to talk about our organization, and then we'll move into a fireside chat format. We'll talk about Angelo's new book, The 7 R's of Leadership and Life, and we'll talk a little bit about that book, and then we'd like to flip it to the audience to get some of your questions so we can make this a little more interactive. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our president and CEO, Angelo Valletta, who began his tenure with us in January of 2021. He brings close to 40 years of progressively responsible managerial experience in diverse industries with companies ranging from small consultants to multinational firms. Prior to joining Ben Franklin Northeast, Angelo served as the market president for FIS Global, the president and CEO of the Catholic Foundation of Philadelphia, the Senior Vice President and Chief Operations and Information Officer at Sun National Bank, and Philadelphia Market Chief Information Officer at PNC Bank. Angelo holds a BA in Information Systems from Temple University and an MBA from Philadelphia University. He actively engaged in several nonprofit boards and committees, including the PA Governor's Economic Development Transition Committee, the Go PA Investment Committee, and a great shout out to the Alvernia University's Opaque Institute for Innovation and Investment Board. So give a round of applause to the team from Alvernia here. Pierce College Technology Advisory Board, and chairs the Louis A. Valletta Endowed Scholarship at Temple University. He's received honors including the Temple University Alumni Diamond Award, Bank and Systems and Tech Elite 8 Award, the Smart CXO Magazine Top 10 honoree, among others. His book, The 7 R's of Leadership in Life, will be published this fall. I'd like to welcome to the podium Angelo Valletta, Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeastern PA's CEO.
Thanks, Ken. Hey, thanks, Ken. And actually, after hearing Ken's bio, I need to find some hobbies. I don't fly fish, golf, or anything like that. But nevertheless, good morning, and thank you, Ken, for the warm welcome. I'm Angelo Valletta, President and CEO of Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeastern Pennsylvania. And honestly, I'm humbled and honored to be with you this morning at the 5th Annual Innovation Conference held by TechBridge. Thank you, Don Webster. I don't think he's in the room, but thank you for the invite. I was really elated when he asked me to be this morning's keynote. The reason is when I started here 3 years ago, I set out to be the fabric of the communities that we serve, and being asked to be the keynote of what I feel is the premier organization from innovation and from an embryonic perspective is TechBridge. So thank you, Don, and the board for asking me to be here today. But before I sit down and talk about the 7 R's of leadership in life with Ken, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about Ben Franklin Technology Partners. And I'm already going to apologize to Dana, who helped me write this script, because, I'm going to go off topic. So we launched about 40, and the reason is because there's part of this script that I really get excited about, because I talk about the impact of organizations in the great Northeast here of Pennsylvania. So we launched about 40 years ago, the Ben Franklin Technology Partners, and we've become one of the most widely known and emulated state technology-based economic development programs in the nation. In partnership with the Pennsylvania Department of Economic Development, the Ben Franklin provides critical funding, business and technical expertise, and access to a network of valuable resources that early stage and established manufacturers need to grow and succeed in a highly competitive global marketplace. At Ben Franklin, clients are surrounded with internal and external experts in accounting, finance, marketing, intellectual property protection, supply chain management, and many other disciplines. I don't know if Dana could have wrote anything a little bit more complicated for me to speak to in regards to words here this morning, but thank you for that, Dana. This comprehensive and integrated approach to supporting companies is Ben Franklin's secret sauce, with clients citing that these support services are key factors in their success. Ben Franklin clients come from a variety of industries: computer hardware, software, telecommunication firms, a variety of fabricated metal and industrial machinery manufacturers, and life science companies alike, including pharmaceutical companies, biotech firms, robotics, and medical device firms. These industries are technology innovative, investing in research and development, intellectual property, capital equipment, and highly skilled labor. This is one of the most important facts of my script here, is our jobs that are created in the great state of Pennsylvania is a third more than the average non-farm payroll. This is generational wealth creation, my friends. So the difference between earning $50,000 and $80,000 is huge in today's economy, and we're able to create those jobs at those dollar amounts. We serve all 67 counties through our 4 regionally based centers, one in Bethlehem, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and State College, and with several satellite offices spread across the state, as Ken said, including one right here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Ben Franklin also leverages the excellence of Pennsylvania's colleges and universities, promotes greater collaboration among companies, academia, private investors, and government alike to build and develop technology-based industries. Investments in innovation are the foundation of our new economy, and year after year, the Ben Franklin Technology Partners continue to deliver impressive results. Since its inception, Ben Franklin has boosted the state economy by more than $30 billion, generating more than 58,000 jobs in client firms, plus over 100,000 spin-off positions for a total of close to 160,000 jobs that otherwise would never would have existed. Those investments pay huge dividends for Pennsylvania, because for every dollar invested by the Commonwealth into the Ben Franklin network generates $4 in additional state taxes. I'm going to say that again. For every dollar invested by the state of Pennsylvania, we at Ben Franklin generate $4 in additional state taxes. What a great investment for those of us in the room that are PA taxpayers. Ben Franklin Technology Partners is making investments that have powered Pennsylvania's economy for decades and will help maintain its competitive advantage in an increasingly high-tech world. At Ben Franklin Northeast, this is no different. In the 21 counties that we are proudly said to serve, we have been building an ecosystem that fosters innovation, entrepreneurial success, and are proudly to say that we are among the top 5% seed stage investors in the country. Last year, thank you. We're coming up on the crescendo of the speech, so get ready, Melanie, right? Last year, we assisted close to 400 companies, helping create hundreds of new jobs while retaining more than 4,300 jobs, launching many new companies to support close to 25 new products and services to refresh, retain, and reimagine jobs in the Northeast region and the great state of Pennsylvania. We have few companies that we like to shine and have the spotlight on that's fueling job growth in the region. 300 new jobs have been created thanks to our portfolio companies, American Paper Bag and Signal Lamp Help, who are with us today. More than 2,000 jobs have been created and retained in the region thanks to Noble Biomaterials and TMG Health. That's the numbers that is important, especially for the Northeast PA. Again, 300 jobs by American Paper Bag, who is here today, as well as Signal Health and Noble Biomaterials and TMG Health. We are investing in the future of Pennsylvania, and we couldn't do it without the incredible partners here in the Northeast like TechBridge. Like us, they partner with institutions of higher education, business incubators, economic development organizations, and chambers of commerce alike. Let's give Don and the TechBridge team a round of applause for what will be a great day of learning and connecting today. So enough about Ben Franklin. Let's talk with Ken here a little bit about my book, The 7 R's of Leadership in Life. And please, let's keep this interactive. The more questions that you ask is the less time I'll have for scripting, and we don't want that. We want to have an interactive session. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Well, thank you very much, Angelo, for those kind words, and it's an honor and privilege to work for this organization and the impact that we have on the communities across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Before I jump into questions with Angelo, I would like to recognize, and we'll talk a little about your new book, The 7 R's of Leadership in Life. I'd like to recognize the folks from Ben Franklin who are here in the audience. If they could raise their hands. I think they're all over here off to my left. I'd specifically like to recognize who's here, and we're glad to have them join us. Our Chief Technology Officer, Melanie Kohler, who manages all and protects all of our information technologies, but probably even a heavier lift, helped to bring Salesforce to our organization to make us as productive as possible. Our Director of Marketing, you've already heard her name mentioned, Dana Hartman. Thank you for putting this program here together. Our Senior Manager, Laura Lawrence, if you did a project with Ben Franklin, she originated that contract. Our Program and Database Administrator, Sarah Bryce, she collects all the information so that Angelo can articulate the numbers and the impact we have on our communities. Our Associate Manager for Client Development, we already got a shout out to Alvernia, we'll do it again. Marissa Bishop, who just joined our team, is our Manager for Client Development and a graduate of Alvernia. And our marketing intern, Hannah Scott from Cedar Crest, has been with us since February. And we have Naila Lat Khan is here, and she's actually a student now at Marywood, but an intern with one of our clients here in the Scranton Enterprise Center. So we've got a great team that's joining us here. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Jill Murray, president of Lackawanna College, who happens to be our board member representing Northeastern Pennsylvania. And we have a number of advisory board members from Mike McHale, John Blake is representing Congressman Cartwright, John Pulo, the president of Keystone, and then Don Webster, of course, that's here with us today. So with that done, I'd like to kind of shift gears. Oh, wait, one more. I forgot to mention, Josh Bradley is joining us from the Upper Susquehanna Valley region. He manages our Bloomsburg Innovation Center, and actually he's more important than anybody I mentioned so far because he has a microphone and he will be part of the engagement here within the audience. So if you have a question at any time throughout this program, he'll have a mic and he will bring it over to you. So thank you very much, Josh, for participating in our program. So, Angelo, let's talk about your book, The 7 R's of Leadership and Life. I mean, where did the inspiration from this book come from?
Hey, thank you, Ken. And I would be remiss before I get to that question to thank all of the Ben Franklin staff that's here today. One of the things that I talk about in the book, before I get to that question, is about leadership and leadership style, right? So I have a servant leadership style, and one of the things that I told Ken when I first met him in January of 2021, it had to be on Zoom. Yes, it was on Zoom back then. My first year was all Zooming and everything else that goes with managing and leading a team during COVID. But I said, Ken, I'm going to do 3 things for you. I'm going to support you like I work for you. I'm going to get out of your way because you've been a major impact in the Northeast in Pennsylvania. And 3, I'm going to give you the tools to succeed. And I've said that to every single person on the team. That's about a particular style and about a servant leadership perspective. So I just want to kind of add that and thank the team for being here and allowing me to work for them every single day. So I'll get to your question, Ken. The inspiration from the book came about 15 years ago, and it was at a time where a father and their son struggled during his middle school and high school years, right? I don't have to tell the parents in this room about that particular struggle. And he was a great kid, quite honestly. But one of the things he said to me is, Dad, you got too many rules. I'm not understanding if I'm doing right, wrong, and different, and so forth. So I said to him, I accept that challenge. I'm going to come up with 5 particular items that if you do this every day, we'll be all right. And it was the morph into the 7 R's. I created 5. It was a respect, responsibility, right thing, readiness. and relationships, right? They were the big five from my perspective. And I worked with Alex every single day. So that was the inspiration. I said, if this works for life, it also works at the job. And these are just leadership perspectives. And that's where the inspiration came from. And then I started to put the book together about 5 years ago. Putting some rambling thoughts down on paper. My daughter, a professional dancer, started professionally dancing at the age of 15, also got a degree from Temple University in education and special needs. But she helped ghostwrite the book for me, put my rambling thoughts into more today's thought process. So, and then my wife proofread the book. So when we went out to published this particular book, it really truly was a family affair. That's why the book is extremely important to me, and that's why the 7 R's have come up into the world, and it'll be published this fall, winter time. Once I figure out the design, I can't believe that the designing of the cover has been the biggest challenge that we would go through. So we're in the midst of that right now, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. But I'm very blessed to have an incredible support system, not only from a work perspective with a great team, but from a family standpoint as well.
Hey, thank you very much, Angelo. I'm comfortable to say on behalf of all those people here to my left and myself, we appreciate your leadership style and giving us an opportunity to kind of do what we do. And I'd say from anybody in the audience who knows me, I'm 6'4" and I move pretty fast, so it's a good idea to get out of my way. But no, we greatly appreciate what you do for us and letting us to do our jobs the way that we do. Just a reminder, so the 7 R's: respect, resolve, responsibility, readiness, the right thing, relationships, and recreation. Angelo, there's got to be one that's your favorite. Like, which one do you like the most?
The one I personally like the most is the one I fail at the most, because I fail at it every day, and it's resolve, right? So resolve from a definition perspective is to be resilient, is to be accountable in your life, have that centeredness in yourself, right? In every interaction, in every second of the day. It's impossible, right? And I'll find myself while I'm driving, and that's probably one of the biggest challenges for me, because people aren't courteous on the road, right? People drive with a sense of they have this cocoon around them, right? And I find myself not anymore with a particular gesture anymore. I don't do that. But even when I go mentally into that and judging others, so I try to bring it into a centered perspective and give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's a parent taking their child to the hospital. Maybe it's a child bringing their parent to an appointment that they're late for whatever reason, because traffic's heavy or and so forth. Stop that judging from my perspective. That's the reason why I fail at this every single solitary day, because I go there and then I bring myself back. And by just going there, I'm failing at that. So that's important, I think, to help me along the way, where I don't do the hand gestures anymore, and I go to really a mental state of getting myself right, is I meditate every day, twice a day, 20 minutes a day. I do a transcendental type of meditation, bringing myself into a transcending environment to bring myself centered. So I suggest that to folks, and it doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It could be listening to your favorite type of music. It could be rock and roll or classic music or whichever. The key thing is to be centered from that standpoint, right? Treat others with respect from that stand. I'll start to bring some of the other R's into it. I think there's a perfect example of resolve today. Jennifer from Studio B is here today. We did prep her a little bit, saying that I was going to potentially ask her to stand up for a minute. So stand up, Jennifer. Let's give Studio B a hand of applause. Talking about someone that has resolve in every single day of her life. The last year and a half has been pretty challenging for her and her company. Give us a couple minutes, if you can, Jennifer, just talking a little bit about resolve and so forth.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all, and I see so many familiar faces. And of course, it's so good to be here with you, Angelo and Ken. Thank you very much. I'm the founder and CEO of Studio B. We provide tech-enabled well-being interventions and resources to people in the workplace. We have been doing that since 2019. So it has been a wild, wild ride. Of course, launching a year before the pandemic put us in a very interesting time frame, right? Who would have thought that a year into getting started that we would face one of the biggest challenges of our lifetime? So it certainly impacted the business. And of course, since then, there have been just the regular ups and downs, the hills and valleys of running an early stage technology company. And it never stops, right? So I think what I've learned through all of the highs and lows, and Ken has been such a great coach in saying, you know what, just stay in the middle, right? Just stay in the middle. Don't get too high, don't get too low. And that advice has really saved me more times than I can tell you. Now, of course, Studio B primarily teaches mindfulness-based interventions. So I, too, am a big believer in grounding, centering every day, just to face what's really happening, right? Because our minds could go into the highs and lows quickly. And what's important, and mindfulness teaches us this, is moment-to-moment awareness really grounds us in the truth of what's happening right now, not what might happen, right, 10 days from now or tomorrow or 6 months from now, right? So what I know is that as an entrepreneur, you have to have a very good relationship with change and uncertainty, because you're always swimming in uncertainty, right? And the rug could get pulled out from under you rather quickly. So the pandemic wasn't the only challenge, of course. We've gone through, I've gone through major personal and professional challenges, especially over the last year and a half, as Angelo's referenced. The other things that have really saved me, two more things, and I'll make it quick. I see every challenge as an opportunity to really learn and grow. And when you fundamentally believe in your mission and you're grounded in your why, like, why am I doing this? Why did I start this business in the first place? What does it mean to me? And when you really know that, you could easily step back into that why and feel your purpose come forward and that's grit, that's resolve, right? So I could quit and regret it for the rest of my life, or I could get grounded in what's happening right now, learn from my mistakes, learn from the challenges, learn from the things that I did right, because of course we've done a lot right too. Okay, so remind yourself of that, because you've done a lot right, you're sitting in this room. And then move forward, right? So that is, to me, what resolve means. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. Ben Franklin has been my best friend through this process. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jen, for all you've done, and it's been a pleasure to be part of this journey with you. I mean, the reality as an entrepreneur, it's not a linear line. You don't start and take the right steps and then end and crown yourself the champion that you've made it to the end of the journey. It's a lot of highs and lows. So the reality is you need persistence, you need perseverance, and of course resolve in order to get there.
So important, right, Ken? And Jen, thanks for making some of the comments serious. I mean, it's one of the, I really felt it was important as we were preparing for today's discussion and keynote, was to bring a perspective from our clients, because our client's success, honestly, is Ben Franklin's success. right? We're there to support our clients like Studio B. So it's important to recognize that. So when we were having that discussion with Don was a little apprehensive, right? He wanted the morning to be about Ben Franklin and Angelo Valletta and Ken Okrepke and the rest of the Ben Franklin team. But I really wanted to shine the spotlight on a couple of our organizations. So we got one more coming up as well a little later. Ken will drive us through that. But back to you, Ken.
Yeah, so Angelo, you've talked about your favorite. Which one do you think, you said that probably your most challenging. I mean, which one is your easiest?
Well, for me, it's recreation, right? You know, while I still need a couple more things in my life, like some golf or fly fishing or something like that. But really, for me, recreation is really what I like to say, the 5 Fs, right? Family, faith, friends, friendships, finances, and fun. Right? Those things that I find to do fun. I love to read. I love to do beach type of stuff. I have a house in Brigantine, New Jersey with my lovely wife. And that stuff is fun to me, right? So whatever is fun for you, whatever brings, helps you become centered from that perspective, I think they're the easiest, right? But it's also a challenge because you have to find time for it. You have to really bring yourself to, as Stephen Covey would say, and you'll see in my book, when I write the book, is I have mapped the 7 R's of leadership in life to the 7 habits of highly successful people. And also the 7 secrets of the savant. It's an Indian mantra dating back centuries ago, right? That's highlighted in the book, The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. Great book if you ever want to read a book. It talks about those 7 virtues of the savant. They all have some type of recreation in it, right? 7 Habits talks about sharpen the saw, right? That's one that is in one of the 7 habits. And the virtues of the savant talks about mindfulness, right? Important things to keep yourself grounded and centered so you can do that excellent work and do the what, but more importantly, as Jennifer said, the why you do it, right? So that's the important side of it, and that's why I enjoy that one, and it's easiest for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Angelo. I'd say my favorite habit is sharpen the saw as well, right? Work smarter, not harder, and you'll accomplish more in life. So I would agree with you exactly. And that holistic approach to life, right? If all we did was work, you know, life would be really hard. If we focused only on our family, then work would be hard. So finding that balance between, you know, and then have some fun, right? I think we can have some fun. So hope you're all having fun with us here today. So now we want to talk a little bit about the next R, readiness. Now, from an entrepreneurial perspective, when you start out and you build a company, you're trying to find opportunity. And we say we don't like entrepreneurs who chase shiny things. That's an opportunity, that's an opportunity, that's an opportunity. There needs to be some level of focus, but you need to be ready when that right opportunity presents itself. So can you talk to us a little bit about the R, readiness?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really important for my son when I would put the readiness into that R back in his middle school and high school days. For me, you know, readiness, he had the readiness part down. He was an elite soccer player, got a soccer scholarship and so forth to university. But, you know, the coach would always say, if you show up for practice at 6 o'clock, you're late already. Because when we start practice, you need to be warmed up, you need to be ready, you need to be focused, you need to be warmed up, because when practice starts, we're not there to warm up. That's why he was on an elite team. So he had that, but he also wanted to bring that readiness to school, to his part-time job that he had, bringing that readiness. And I tell some folks, interns and as well as folks that I coach on a consistent basis, is that when work starts, it doesn't start at 8 o'clock if that's your start time. It starts at 7:30 when you get in. Prepare yourself mentally. Get your coffee and be ready to work before work starts. It's not the job of the organization from a prepared perspective, right? It's important that when I prepare for the week, I do that on a Sunday night, getting excited about the work week coming up. And outlining where I'm going to be, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, getting myself mentally prepared, right? So, and how you do it. And in today's environment, with working remotely, it allows us the time today to really focus in and get ready for the things that are important on a daily basis. That's the reason why readiness is important to me. And we're going to hear from one of our companies. I mentioned it in my talk. One of those companies that created those 300 new jobs over the last few years. Ian from American Paper Bag is going to talk about readiness, talk about a guy that needed to be ready when he was focusing in on preparing his company in North America. He's worked with some chambers of commerce and organizational individuals from an investment perspective, led him to Ken and said, we want to start this thing. So Ian, tell us a little bit about your story about being ready.
Okay. Hi there. Yeah, my name's Ian Robson. I'm the founder of American Paper Bag. I'm probably completely the wrong person to speak to about readiness. I would have been really good at recreation, I think. I think the two areas, I don't think you want to hear about where we were ready, but probably the two areas that I think where I definitely wasn't ready in the whole process is probably more interesting. At the beginning, I knew my industry inside out. I knew paper bags, not the most exciting one for a lot of people, but a bit different. Yeah, and I've been in it for a very long time. I came over here with the idea we had a completely different shape of paper bag, different design, works very well, big, small, very tailor-made, all different handle types, can work as a paper mailer, completely different in the industry to anybody else. We had the opportunity to bring it over to the US and get exclusivity on that deal, which was great, but I had to find investment. My business plan I thought was pretty sound, everything was pretty good, except for I didn't know how to go out and raise money. And that journey of probably 11 months, 12 months, and finding the investment was a nightmare. I definitely was not ready for that side of the investment, that side of the business, to go out and find it. And I don't know who's involved in that side of it in the audience, but it's a nightmare. We went out, I walked around everywhere. We went around both, every type of group, private individuals, we went around private equity, we did companies, both big and small. I think when we went to Ben Franklin, and Ken was one of the first people I met in this area, and he helped us guide it through. Even if we hadn't have got the Ben Franklin money, I think Ken would have been a very great benefit to us in really helping out what we did and how we did it. I say we, at the time it was me, but I can't help but to say that for the company. Ben Franklin was the first company to put money into us. What we did was we went through the whole process. We presented it, business plans, refined everything. They helped us through that process. We got the money in, and I think that gave us the validation to actually get that money and the help from actual real investors to come in as well and provide the major money into the company that we have done. And it came pretty quickly after Ben Franklin put that money in. So I think without Ben Franklin, I don't think we'd be here as a company. Well, I know for a fact we wouldn't be here as a company. I don't want to just say Ben Franklin's great. I think we've had a major issue with Ben Franklin that you're not expecting me to say right now. But you never, ever gave us the readiness to say, what would you do in the case of a global pandemic when the world completely shuts down on March the 15th, 2020? And I think we weren't ready for it. I think probably most people in the room weren't ready for it. And we had to completely pivot twice during that time that we definitely were not ready for. As a result of that, we had to we've been in so many meetings internally. We had other opportunities that come up that were actually very good opportunities. We had very painful financial decisions to make within the company. We had a lot of issues, like everybody did, from raw materials to staffing to customers and finding those customers. And I think we pivoted twice. In our original business plan, we thought we would do potentially 90% of our business on retail fashion. You go into a store, you buy the product, you put it into a bag, and you walk out. We're not there. And currently, it's less than 1% of our business plan that we use that for. Grocery and that side, we never thought we'd be in that. It's a commodity business. Now it works out to probably 80% of our business. In a specialist grocery side, so we do the delivery side. We make very unique bags we make bags for Walmart, Amazon, a number of others that are a bit smaller. But yeah, we also have a growing e-com business that's really helped out by this one, by the results of the pandemic, I should say. I don't want to keep saying the pandemic's great, but yeah, we've had some positive business successes as a result of it, and we're in a completely different company from before.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Much appreciated. Yeah, actually, you know, it's one of the things that when the book, The 7 R's, it's more than just 7 R's, right? So it's actually a book that I say keep by your bedside, that there are 28 R's in the book, right? So the 7 R's are the focus, and then there are 21 other R's. It should be read monthly, Monday to Monday, Sunday to Sunday, whatever day you pick. It starts with day 1, which starts the 7 R's, and then 21 other R's are introduced. And Ian, what you talked about, and I tie it to readiness, and I also tie it to resolve a bit, is resiliency, right? Understanding when you're not ready, and then being able to pivot and be resilient from that perspective is extremely important. So 21 additional R's are introduced, and we're not going to have time to do all 21, but I'll filter in some of that. And plus, I want some folks to buy the book a little bit, right? You know, so that's part of it. So, but nevertheless, resiliency is extremely important, especially as it relates to readiness as well as resolve. Back to you, Ken.
Hey, it's interesting. I listened to Ian. First of all, I wanted to reinforce his company. What he didn't say is he is the greenest, fastest bag manufacturing company in North America that's growing right here in our community.
Woohoo!
I'd also reinforce the fact that this was a very collaborative effort. We appreciate the accolades he's provided to Ben Franklin, but he originally reached out to the Small Business Development Center, the Governor's Action Team was connected, and then the Greater Wilkes-Barre Chamber of Commerce. So truly a collaborative effort of Northeastern Pennsylvania's ecosystem working together to have some of the success that Ian has had. And then finally, hey, we know that we've got room for improvement always, right, Angelo? I guarantee we'll do our work so that when the next pandemic comes, we'll make sure our entrepreneurs are prepared a little more than you were. So with that, I think maybe we throw it to our audience, Angelo. We've got about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. So
yeah.
Wanted to throw it to our audience to give you an opportunity if you have a question. I mean, Angelo's experience is corporate, it's nonprofit. He ran a foundation. He's led teams on a global scale. We have him with us today. So we'd like if you could raise your hand if you have a question. Don Webster, he has his hand. Did you have a question, Don? Okay. Right here. Back
right
there
here.
in the back. There we go. We'll come up to you, Mike, in a second.
Angelo, good afternoon, and good morning, rather, and thank you so much for your presentation. We're all interested in the book. Do we get a discount?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I just want to start it off on that positive point. I would add to Jennifer, your persistence and perseverance were 2 P's that it would add to the mix here. Congratulations on that persistence and perseverance for carrying through. The question I have, Angelo, is what challenges do you have? What's your main challenge? I understand your success at the Ben Franklin, but what is the challenge that you're facing now? Tie it to your 7 R's, but what is the challenge? One of the thoughts I always had is there's four Ben Franklins throughout the Commonwealth. How are you integrating the other 3 so that entrepreneurs in this region know what's going on in the other region?
Great question. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate you asking that. And for me, it's a very easy answer. One is you have 2 parts. So the easy one first, it's about the challenge, right? So the challenge for us is, while we're not a state organization, to be able to invest in early stage companies, we need the state of Pennsylvania's support. We receive about $4 million in a grant that we are required to match. That's not the challenging part. We can do that. But we leave a lot on the table of companies that we're not investing in, right? So we like to talk about the sexy part of our investing on a consistent basis. That's the early stage organizations, right? And that's one of the great things about Americans is that we will innovate. We will figure out new ways to do things. We always have, and we always will. The challenge is having enough dollars to invest in all of the firms that we would like to invest in. And we're one of the top 5 seed investors. I want to be the top 5%. I want to be in the top 1% of those seed investors. And the way we can do that was with additional dollars. And that's the reason why I got involved with the governor's action team on innovation, to be able to talk about how we get additional funding. And we're having those conversations. And I'll tie that into your question, is how do we integrate with the other bends with some of our successes and introducing companies throughout the state. And we do that. And that's the easy part. One of the things that we want to do is, and what we're doing with the Go PA Fund, is to introduce statewide investors, specifically out of our brother Ben and brother and sister Ben out of Philadelphia, called Ben Franklin Southeast PA, that they started this fund. I am on their committee for investment, so introducing organizations from an investment perspective. This Go PA Fund is investing in Pennsylvania companies only, to grow, and we're raising about $70 million for that fund. So just a little bit of what we're doing from that standpoint, Jerry. Great question. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Don?
We had Don's got
Don Webster, TechBridge. Good morning, everyone. Look at the size of this crowd today. How about that? Angelo, fresh set of eyes. There's a lot of new entrepreneurs in the room today. There's a lot of people who have grown up in Northeast PA here today. Fresh set of eyes. You travel around the region. What's surprised you in a good way about Northeast PA that you'd like to share with the audience, especially for those who are new to our community?
Yeah, absolutely. Don, again, great question. I appreciate it. For me, it's not the skills of the individuals here in Northeast PA. It's the breadth of opportunities that are being presented to us, right? We represent 21 counties, so Northeast here, Lehigh Valley, Susquehanna Valley, Berks and Reading, and they all are a little bit different. Akin to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is 4 distinct areas, right? You have Philadelphia and its surrounding counties, Pittsburgh and its surrounding counties, Central PA with State College, and going down into Harrisburg and Lancaster, up to Erie in the most northwestern part of the state. And then you have us that goes up to the most northeastern part of the state. I think the breadth of innovation, the breadth of skills, the breadth of opportunity has been extremely pleasant. And it's one of the reasons why that part of my strategic plan is to work specifically here in the Northeast to drive, don't say it to our neighbors in New Jersey and New York, especially North Jersey, to go with dollars in our pocket to invest in organizations and bring them into the Northeast. We have a geographic competitive advantage from that perspective. And we want to drive that support, investment into those companies and bring them into the Northeast. They don't have to be incorporated in North Jersey to be close to New York. They don't have to be in New York City or in New York. They can be right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. We have the people, we have the innovation, we have the skills, and I'll quote Don, why the heck not us?
Thank you. How about a round of applause for that? Thanks, Angelo. We got one more question here, Mike McHale, and then we'll wrap it up with 2 quick questions for Angelo on 3 of the last R's, and then kind of a little fun question at the end. So, Mike McHale.
Angelo, we talk a lot about technology. Over the last 15 years, how has technology changed your R's since you started this 15 years ago?
You know what, that's easy. Someone has asked me that before, and I say, it really hasn't, because the R's is about leadership and it's about life. Respect doesn't change if there's technology or not, right? Human beings are human beings, right? And we should treat each other that way, right? We all want respect. We all want to be included. We all want to have opportunity, right? So the respect, Ken will talk about what I call the motherhood and apple pie of the R's, right? The relationship, the respect. the right thing. Those things don't change if it's technology or not, right? From my perspective, right? So, and then the 21 other R's, it's about how we as individuals, as human beings, should lead our lives as we interface with every single walk, every single skill set, every single interaction as it relates to those 7 R's. And that's what I tried to instill in my son and my daughter with the original 5 R's, and that's what I try to instill every single day, not from words, but from my own particular actions. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Angelo.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is technology changes the way we may interact with one another, but the reality is your R's are anchors that, in theory, should carry across time. And so,
You know, and that's one of the reasons why when I was at one of the largest fintechs, and I'm an engineer by trade, right, from a technology perspective. And I started out as a coder and support. And when I started the fintech, this was my first president opportunity to run a division. I was asked to lead east of the Mississippi, Maine to Miami, the Caribbean, as well as the eastern part of Canada. And they said, we're going to start you off with one financial institution and about 25 people, and we're going to need, and it was about $250,000 a month in revenue. It was a pretty large financial institution. And they said, what we need you to do is to be able to get to $3 million a month in 12 months, right? So I needed to put together a plan. And how you put together a plan is not about the technology. It's about the relationship and the support that you give to the clients that you serve. 3.5 years later, we are at $13 million a month in one of the fastest growing divisions within this fintech organization. And by the way, we were just a very, very small sliver, and the president and CEO would remind me of that, you know, and you're only about 2% of the bottom line, so don't get yourself too happy, and so you got to keep growing that $13 million a month. So you're always looking, and I did not talk about technology to the bank presidents that I was selling our services to. It was about how am I going to support you on a consistent basis? How am I going to treat you better than your employees were to treat you that you had in your organization? And by the way, we were only able to hire close to 1,000 people in an 18-month period, was when we took over managed services from a technology perspective for a financial institution. We also brought their people aboard. And I promised each CEO that we will treat the employees better than that you're treating them. That from a benefits perspective, from a flexibility standpoint, and more importantly, an opportunity perspective for those individuals. So there's some of the things that we were able to bring to the table from that standpoint. Ken?
thanks, Angelo. So we're going to bring us home now. A couple of quick questions here. We have about 5 minutes to go. So we're going to wrap up 3 R's together. I think you refer them as mom and apple pie. Respect, the right thing, and responsibility. Sometimes doing the right thing, you know, what you think is the right thing, what I think is the right thing, and what the organization thinks is the right thing, they could be conflicted. So how do you look at it from the respect, right thing, and responsibilities perspective?
Thanks, Ken. And yeah, I do refer to them because you can intertwine them all the time, right? I'll start off with the right thing. It's one of the things I said to my son and daughter as we would constantly talk about these 5 R's, is that I'm never going to be upset if you're doing the right thing and you feel that that right thing is correct, right? So we could be askew a little bit at the end of the day. And I'll give a little fun tidbit here. Everyone has seen the love statue in Philadelphia, right? You know, there's 4 of them. And you know the O's askew. Does anybody know why the O is askew? It's because love is never perfect. And the right thing is never perfect. But you can strive to be perfect. If you strive to be perfect, sometimes you don't get there. And that's okay. We'll learn along the way from that standpoint. So I like to say that the right things helps with respect. It helps with relationships. Because if you do the right thing for your fellow coworker, fellow teammate, interactions on the street, on the bus, or wherever you're at, they'll feel that, and your relationships will grow from the beginnings part of a relationship to the cultivation part of a relationship to the maturity part of a relationship. Those things are intertwined all together. Don's on his way up. We start on time. We end on time. It's a couple minutes before 10. I'm going to flip it back over to Don, I guess.
We'll give you one last quick question here.
All right,
hold
go
on.
ahead.
We're really close. So just for fun to understand his personality a little bit, what is your favorite accessory? I mean, mine's got to be BOA golf shoes. If I know I've got them on, I'm going to the first tee. So how about you? What's your favorite accessory?
For me, it's my cufflinks. I've been wearing cufflinks every day almost since the first day I started work, and yeah, I'm going to say it, 1983, okay? So, that was by accident. I actually had to borrow my first pair of cufflinks from my father, but it's cufflinks. Today I'm wearing a Ben Franklin head on my left and the Liberty Bell on my right. They are cufflinks that were carved out of the half a dollar that Ben Franklin was on in the late 50s, early 60s. So they are the ones I have on today. And my favorite pair of cufflinks has to be the cufflinks that my daughter gave me way back when. They are Lego blocks, simple silver Lego blocks, because there was a little note with them that said I was the building block for her in her life. So I try to strive to be that consistency on a daily basis and be her building block and be there for her every single day. So, cufflinks.
Thank you very much. How about a round of applause for Angelo?